Well, guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Wayne Dell, and we are here with my beautiful James and Roberts double side by side combination rifle. And today we're going to share some stories of my last season hunting with this. So, guys, we're here with the 303 12 gauge James and Robertson combination rifle. I've done a few videos on this specific weapon, and you can find them on the YouTube channel, The Mystery of the Cape Gun. And I put out a challenge to myself to hunt a few species with this old antique of mine. As I said, it's got a 12 gauge barrel on one side, and it's got a 303 British round on the other side with the beautiful external hammers and the double trigger. So when I've spoken in the previous video, my dad bought this thing from a traveling gun trader years ago to hunt bush pig with it, as it had the calibers that we would use when we were hunting bush pig. 303 was the go-to caliber. We all had old military 303s that had been sporterized to hunt with, and the good old faithful 12 gauge shotgun. So we're chasing pigs with the 12 gauge. They've got hounds. It's all nice close shooting. So it was the ideal combination rifle to hunt bush pig with. And my dad took it on a few hunts, and it's just like carrying around a lead post. It is super, super heavy. So back in the day, they really crafted out some quality, gunmanship, and it's got beautiful engraving on it, and it is built to last. I don't know the exact age of this weapon. We went down a bit of a rabbit hole trying to find out how old it could be, where it was built, and we came to a bit of a dead end. So if anyone knows more about these weapons, please jump in the comments and share it with us. I'd really like to know more about this rifle. So let's jump into the hunts that I did with it last year. So the main goal of this challenge that I put out to myself started way back in 2021, where I said I'm going to take this weapon and try and shoot a warthog walk and stalk, and a warthog from a bait site, and a bush pig from a bait site. So we started out, did my walk and stalk. The thing that I was struggling with more than carrying this thing around and hunting was actually trying to self-film this hunt, guys. I didn't have a GoPro. I still haven't got a GoPro. I've got to get that all figured out. All I was doing was filming these hunts off my iPhone, wherever I could get a gap to hold. Now trying to hold the camera and shoot and everything just became a little tricky. Unfortunately, I never got lucky with the walk and stalk, but I had set up a few bush pig feeders, and the warthogs had started raiding them in the day. So I went out one afternoon, I went and sat. There's an awesome video on YouTube there. You can head on and go and watch the full hunt there. It's called The Bait Raiders, and I got myself a awesome warthog ball with this rifle. But let's just rewind a little bit. So I've taken a 303 150 grain load, and that's what I'm shooting out of this rifle. Problem with it is this thing was designed for a 215 or 220 grain load. So when I use my sights to shoot my good old 303 load, I can't hit the page. So what I've had to teach myself for now with the 150 grain, while I try and find some 250 grain loads to load in this thing to make it shoot accurately, I use the front bead as if I was, duck shooting, bird shooting, and just point where I want it and squeeze the trigger. And that has worked extremely well for me. The actual first animal that I shot with this from the bait side was a bush pig boar. And I shot it pin perfectly, but at least, guys, the shots are within 20, 25 yards. And I smoked that beautiful big bush pig boar. And I had a second attempt with the shotgun side at another bush pig. I did hit the pig, but unfortunately we never retrieved the pig. If you also want to watch that full video, it's called The Ghost in the Darkness. Head on over and watch that one, sitting in the bait side. It poured with rain that evening, and even with the dogs, we couldn't find where that pig had vanished. So unfortunately, it's hunting, guys. These things do happen. And I never got my second pig, but I got a beautiful bush pig boar with this. And then I got lucky with a awesome warthog from the bait. And then I did a couple of stalks with it, a couple of fail attempts. Then I decided, well, let me try and hunt a duck or a bushbuck with this. So I headed out with it, also a walk and stalk. Then we've got a tree stand in our pine forest plantation. I decided we're going to climb in the tree stand there. I climbed in the tree stand, sat there, no luck. I did another attempt from the tree stand, nearly fell clean out the damn tree stand because a lot of the old screws and stuff that held the tree stand together had rusted away. But if you also again want to find out more about that, find the video on YouTube where I got myself a beautiful bushbuck ram with this old Cape gun. So from that fail attempt from the tree stand, I decided one evening to go and set myself up in one of our blinds. So guys, the blind that we had set up is in the middle of this pine forest. It had been cleared out. They obviously had logged a few trees out there. We had put a water point in there. And this is where we'd set up kind of for bow hunters if they were wanting to try and shoot a kudu, a bushbuck, a taka. Very much how you guys would hunt in the States, go and sit in the blind. And I'd had a camera up there and there was a kudu bull coming in and there was I think 3 or 4 bushbuck that had been coming in there that I've been keeping my eye on. And this evening, I decided that I'm going to go and set myself up in this stand or in this elevated blind. Got myself set up there. I'm still chatting on the phone to my brother. As we all do, you get a little bored sitting in these blinds. And I've always said hunting bushbuck, even on a walk and stalk, is very much like watching paint dry. And you just got to spend lots of time glassing. But obviously in a blind, there's not very much to glass. You're looking, I think the furthest at the real back end of this area is probably about 150 yards. So I kept picking up my binos and looking into the bushes and stuff. And I knew the bushbuck came from a certain direction. And with absolute luck, I actually couldn't believe my eyes. I spotted a bushbuck's horns coming through. And all I had to do was sit there so patiently, waiting for him to work his way towards me. And there was a little cut road that he was coming down on and work his way to the clearing to get to the lovely green shoots that were coming out, grass. And I was sitting there actually going, why don't I have my other rifle with me? I could shoot him where he is now. But this is where I think the reward comes in when you're hunting with an old antique like this, is that you got to wait for that absolute perfect shot and get him within range. And because I didn't have the flip up backside, I knew he had to be in that 40-yard range for me to make an absolute pinpoint ethical kill. And with all of this, guys, I hadn't shot a bushbuck in probably 2 years. The adrenaline kicked in. I was getting really excited. At the best of times, the bushbuck is one of the animals that gets me absolutely excited. I get complete buck fever when these animals come in. And I sat so patiently. I really pat myself on the back for this because that took a lot of patience. And eventually this big old bushbuck kept coming in. And he fed, and he was quartering towards me, and eventually he turned broadside, putting that one leg forward, giving me that perfect behind the shoulder shot. And I was super comfortable, put the bead on the shoulder, and I squeezed the trigger. He jumped up, he steamrolled forward, and he went across the clearing and crashed in the edge of the pine forest. And that to me is probably one of my biggest hunting achievements so far, is actually shooting a beautiful, beautiful bushbuck ram with this. It probably is really high up on what I've hunted in my lifetime and the species that I've hunted. He's not by means my biggest bushbuck I've ever shot, but the fact that I took him out with this beautiful old double rifle means a lot more to me than the biggest one that's hanging on my wall. So yeah, just some super exciting stories from this old James and Roberts double Cape gun, and I'm looking forward to getting cracking in 2025 this year, upping the challenge and going after some other game. Hopefully I can get those 215 grain 303 rounds all set up so I could shoot perfectly open sights with this, and I'll definitely be going after a few more species. I'd love to go after a kudu with this. I might even attempt a nyala if I do get my chance on it, or waterbuck. As we say in Africa, you never know what you can find around the next bend. And whatever gives me the opportunity, if I'm carrying this for that day, that's what I'll be going after. And hopefully I get to film it for you guys, that you can live the full experience with myself out on an adventure with the old Cape gun. So guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you put on the bell notification and subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way for us to film all these videos for you guys and keep the content flowing. So till later guys, cheers.